Okay, so a balance patch has just dropped, and it's 5 days before Christmas. This should be interesting. Of course, it's a balance patch for Robocraft 1, and we all know where those balance patches come from, so there's that. Okay, so let's get straight into it, and start from the top. This is balance patch 8, and right from the start we come to a very interesting set of changes. We've come to Flak. So with regards to Flak, base damage has been increased for both T4 and T5 Flaks, especially T5 Flaks, and stack damage has been increased for both weapons also, particularly for the T4s. Projectile speed has been reduced by a factor of 4, has been quartered. Okay, so one thing that I'm noticing is, first of all, I'm surprised that base damage has been increased, because I'm pretty certain that the balance server hasn't been particularly amenable to that option. It's disappointing to see that Flak hasn't received any of their range back, as in the blast radius, but solid changes are solid changes. Whether this will be enough to redeem them as a weapon has yet to be seen. I'm most particularly interested in trying out the Flaks for anti-ground use, even though that's not really what they're intended for. So there's only one way to really go about this, and that is to find a Flak bot. Start with T4s. This will do. What's the mode? Ballerina, that works for me. So I can't say that I'm particularly surprised that they didn't revert the Flak radius changes, which they did based upon the feedback of a person who doesn't even use Flak. Oh, that was fast. Good. Guess there's some interest generated by the patch. Unsurprising. But I'm interested to see exactly how the Flak feels now. Because more damage is more damage, regardless of other aspects. Who knows? Perhaps they can buff the weapon into being non-bad. Quite a few AIs. That's sad to see. Let's get to it. What? What the hell? Seriously? Okay, I thought I was going to try Flak out, but it seems like I've got bigger problems. Okay, actually hitting shots. Okay, oopsie daisy. That's not good. Alright, an actual kill, that's interesting. No, seriously, why am I this slow? What the hell? An actual kill with Flak, that is interesting. Actually landing some hits. That's promising. That's less promising. Should be using Flak against flyers. So I see Teslas are working relatively normally. I see that 170 kmh with no speed change on jump. What the actual hell? I'm basically using an inferior mech at this point. Watch out for that Tesla. I think it's at mid. Okay. Flak is feeling okay, I have to admit. The projectile speed also doesn't seem too bad. Flak is doing his job. What's disappointing, what's hella disappointing, okay. Can I depend on you to actually do the job? Looks like it. I'm totally crawling along. Come on. Yep, Tesla doing what Teslas do. And I can't even dodge at this point. I can't even strafe. Okay, so they absolutely ruined heavy sprinters. I have no idea what changes they've made, or I should say I do know they made some changes. It's obviously made some changes, and yes, I did take a look at those changes beforehand. But I wasn't expecting this level of crap. What the hell is this? Come on. Yeah, bug off. Okay, Tesla should be around here in a minute. Or... why is it that whenever the balance server does something right, it's overshadowed by something bad? I'll have to take a look at what else they've buggered up. Literally crawling along in a sprinter. That's awful. Flax, however, I have to be fair, the T4 flax feel pretty decent. problem. That's disgusting. I shouldn't be the top capper. I really shouldn't be the top capper. This makes mech legs look good. Okay, true. Yeah, pathetic mobility, because that's what this bot needed. Thank you, balance server. What's your excuse this time? Trying to rein in sprinter planes, so-called metas, which haven't been meta for quite a while. Oh, for crying out loud. Cap or lose, people. There's really no point jumping in this spot anymore. This was supposed to be a flak test, but yeah. And flaks actually do feel interesting. Okay. Should secure this. And count on somebody to at least cap near. They should, at least. Cap near. Crying out loud. So yeah, that pretty much sums my thoughts on sprinter legs. At least heavy sprinter legs. So, with that being said, let's deal the post-mortem. He did play well. Cool. So, the post-mortem of that match simply is T4 flaks seem to be pretty good as a weapon. I didn't really get to enjoy them versus ground, but in spite of my misgivings about what happened to sprinter legs, so this bot is almost 40,000 kilos. Okay, it's a heavy bot. Base speed has been reduced by 20 miles per hour. That doesn't explain the crap I've seen. This is not 20 kilometers per hour slower. This is absolutely not 20 kilometers per hour slower. That is ridiculously slow. Honestly, at this point, it's probably best for me to just substitute for mech legs, because screw sprinter legs, as per usual. Okay, so let's continue the test with Flak. This works. Team deathmatch. Fine. T5 Flex this time. On a very suitably named bot. I wonder if mech legs are going to be slower or faster than the supposedly, sprinter legs. Then again, was a heavy build. This is an even heavier build. However, it does feature Rex's favorite part, helium block, so should do pretty decently overall. So that's a great start. That's an absolutely fantastic start. So let's see. After Flak parts, we've got movement parts in general. So, okay, it seems that all movement parts have taken a 20 kilometer per hour reduction. All parts, both ground and air parts, both slow and fast parts, all parts have taken a 20 kilometer per hour reduction. Okay, so this information on its own, independently, what it tells me is that ground bots have taken a relative nerf relative to wings. Because ground bots are clearly overpowered. And the reason I say this is because, well, I'll get back to that in a minute. Let's see what we've got. Okay, we've got another, looks like a sprinter if I'm not mistaken. This should be a decent, interesting match. It's team deathmatch, yes. 2 chain bots on their side. Okay. Okay, that's a vehicle. Everybody's crawling along. Okay, I suppose if everybody's crawling, okay, that's jumping. That's okay, have some jump. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Let's try the anti-ground. That was inconclusive. Where did the enemy go? I hear... Ah. Okay. Really? Should be fine. Oh crap, really? Nah, that's not good. Okay. Oh look! A helium bot flyer. What a surprise! Thank you for contributing to ruining the game, Rex Hack Bro. Uh-huh. Yep. That makes sense. Wait, what? Why aren't you firing back? Well, that's your battle. Oh, really? You again? The hell? Okay, looks like not all sprinters are ruined. That's great to hear. I wonder what weight that vehicle is. Let's check out the flyer. Yeah. Ah, crap. Uh-huh. No guns. That's terrific. Damn it. Yeah, I am absolutely pissed off at the moment. However, I don't think that T5 flaks are bad as a weapon. T5 flaks are not bad as a weapon. Hard to say though, very hard to say. I really don't want to try it again. But I must. I haven't given T5 flaks enough of a go. But one thing I am noticing is that I'm not having fun. The primary reason I'm not having fun, well, first of all, I have a seething resentment of the so-called balance server and the way that they operate. Even though I absolutely detest them, because it does go beyond resentment. And I should say I specifically detest a couple of individuals. Most specifically one individual. I have to get out of this tilt that I feel at this point in time, because I won't be able to give the weapon or the parts a good shake. So it does seem that most vehicles, most bots are slower, significantly slower. I did not feel much of a difference in the case of this mech, but then again it was slow to begin with. And due to the nature of the match, I didn't quite get the feeling that... Okay, that's not a good thing. Ground bots. I guess I'll have plenty of anti-ground testing for the flak. Moon is obviously going to be the most dangerous opponent. Huh. Actually has some bites. It actually has some bites. Really? Oh, crying out loud. That's not good. Let's crawl back to the front. Okay. It's actually doing some damage. The flak is actually doing some damage. This is a problem. I mean, it's not meant to be an anti-ground bot, but, I mean, anti-ground weapon. But it's not pathetic at the role either, not as pathetic as it used to be. That was interesting. I'm glad I got some more experience with it. Okay, so let's see. I need to calm the heck down. So, my thoughts on Flak. My initial take is that it is significantly better than it used to be as a weapon. The Balance Discord has seemed to have managed to more or less balance the weapon in spite of not restoring its spread. And I'm trying to be objective in that regards. It seems that it's a lot closer to balance than it was. Movement, however, is feeling kind of garbage. We've tried mech legs, we've tried sprinter legs. And I see that the next item on the list is wheels, where they have touched steering force, which affects the way that bots steer. Okay. That's not at all ominous. Let's find ourselves a wheel bot and try it out. First, speed check. Definitely feeling slower than before. Okay, and there's a delay in turning, okay. So let's try steering out. Okay, can still do some. Moving about. I see there's a greater turn angle. Come on, you can do this. Fine, you don't want to, don't. That was pretty cool. Okay, it seems to remain functional. That's all that's really important to me. Because I'm aware that they're making these changes to make keyboard control bots even more viable, but I'd kind of have a problem if they were doing so at the total expense of keyboard controls. I mean, of mouse controls. That would just not sit well with me. Alright, so it seems that the bot can still turn. So that's a good thing. Even though there's reduced turn force. I do notice a significant increase in lag. Huh, interesting. Is it my imagination or... Nope. It just won't take it. It no longer accepts reversing. So, okay. Yeah, it's just fighting. Doesn't want to move. Nope. Okay, fine. So back to front driving isn't a possibility anymore, which I suppose I can adjust to that. Of course, there's one more thing I do need to check. That's turning off mouse controls. Let's see how it works. Let's see how it feels. Okay, now keeping in mind I don't actually use keyboard controls. I hate to say it, but it actually handles ever so slightly better without mouse controls. And this is what I was kind of afraid of. It's It's like, you know, sacrificing Paul to pay Saul or something like that. That doesn't feel good. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for both keyboard and mouse controls to feel good. And I'm not going to say that mouse controls feel bad, per se, but yeah, there's definitely something there. Oh? Huh. Mouse is engaged. I'm cursing. That was funny. Okay, moving on. Back to main menu. Let's restore the controls and see what is next in the list. So moving down, we've got sprinter legs. Okay, so some parts of this are a little confusing. T4 sprinter legs have taken significant increases in certain agility aspects. However, more importantly, the agility cap for all sprinter legs has been reduced to 2,500. Are you freaking serious? Are you freaking serious? Okay, so 2,500 is how heavy a bot needs to be to achieve its maximum agility if it uses sprinter legs. Is that what the so-called balance server is really saying? Dismantle. Let's use this. So, why am I angry about this? For those persons who either forgot or aren't aware, it all comes down to weight, which, by the way, weight of a part cannot, as far as we know, be adjusted at the moment for hot reasons. But anyway, what I want to draw your attention to is the weight of a single sprinter leg. A single Tier 3 sprinter leg weighs 1,750 kilos. A single T4 sprinter leg weighs 3,430 kilos. Now, when you have a situation where the weight of a single leg, and mind you, you do need to have a minimum of 2 legs to achieve maximum mobility for obvious reasons. The speed penalty for having just a single leg being a thing. 1,750 kilos is the mass of a single leg. So when you have a situation where... Come on. Agility cap is reduced from 7,250, which, by the way, is the weight that a bot can be and still enjoy the maximum agility of its attributes provided to it. When that is slashed by almost 3, and you cannot even fit 2 tier 3 sprinter legs within that limit, it no longer becomes a secret as to why sprinters are ruined at this point. I mean, seriously, you know what? Let's just try it out. You know what? Tier 3 sprinter legs, let's mirror mode, because we actually have mirror mode in this version of Robocraft at this time. Okay, mirror mode off, fine. Okay, we've got our little sprinter. Our two-leg sprinter with a single rod in between weighs 3,505 kilos, more than 1,000 kilos above the agility cap of the agility floor, I should say, of the movement parts. It's freaking astounding. Okay, let's test this out. 2 legs and a single rod. It certainly feels better than a heavy bot, that's for sure. But again, keep in mind we're talking about 2 legs and a rod. 2 legs and a rod. And I thought that the last time they reduced the agility floor for sprinter legs, I thought they had maybe, just maybe learned their lesson, but they didn't. Of course they didn't. Why would they? They're the freaking so-called balance Discord of Robocraft, led by none other than Rex Hack Bro. Fine, so tier 4 legs are significantly heavier than tier 3 legs. They've received some increases in stats, and let's see how those actually play out. They don't play horribly, but again, we're talking about 2 legs and a rod. You know what? Let's bring another bot in. And to be clear, it's entirely possible to create a light bot using sprinter legs which is not ruined. That is entirely possible. How heavy is this? Oh yeah, we're talking 3 sprinter legs, so that was heavy sprinter legs. Let's go back to T3s for a moment. Let's see which is the lighter of these. This is the lightest. This is the lightest tier 3 leg sprinter bot I have, which has any degree of functionality. Let's try it out. This is half the weight of the heavy bot. Let's see just how badly these legs have been screwed over. Are you freaking kidding me? Oh. The balance Discord that stole sprinter legs. Wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. Now, this agility doesn't look absolutely all out terrible, but one needs to understand just how many tier 3 propellers are also driving this forward, aside from the sprinter legs themselves. So yeah, when I say that sprinter legs have been screwed over hard, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tier 3 props and 4 legs. Not exactly the lightest build possible, I'll say that much, fair enough. But exactly what kind of build is suited for this? Basically, it comes down to literally legs, rods, thrusters, light weapons. You might be able to get it down to 10,000, 9,000, possibly. Then you get better, relatively better results. But honestly, it does look like they ruined the part. They ruined the part for 99% or let me be very generous, 95% of all sprinter leg using builds have been ruined by this balance patch. Okay, that was T3s, let's go up to T4. Okay, this is also light, or relatively light I should say. These are tier 4s, which are the only kinds of legs that for some reason got any kind of increases in stats, because tier 3 legs were so overpowered. Sometimes I wonder what they're smoking in there. Anyway, moving on. Tier 4 legs. The mobility is better than the Weasel. Again, this bot is being helped along by those propellers at the back. And, by the way, this is a pure sprinter bot. So, yeah, that's great. It has literally none of the benefits of a sprinter leg anymore. Which, by the way, was speed. The absolute ignorance that it requires to make certain changes. I mean, seriously, you know that a part weighs 1,750, 3,500 kilos, and you go and change the floor, the light agility cap to that degree. Why does the balance server hate the game so much? And if they hate the game so much, why do they continue to play it? If they hate the game so much, why do they continue to play it? Anyway, so, okay, fine, we get it. Sprinter legs are ruined. For the most part, they're ruined. There's a few choice areas. I mean, Happy's bot earlier, the sprinter Tesla bot wasn't completely ruined, but even that was affected. I don't see any real reason to use a sprinter leg at this point in time. Now the question is, how badly are other parts impacted? Okay, that was sprinter legs. We move on to skis. Okay, so let me go back to even skis got impacted by 20 kilometers per hour. But they've received more than double their speed boost. Now, under normal circumstances, I would look at this change and say, what are you smoking? But we are talking about ski bots here. And this is clearly, to some degree, compensating for the reduction in base speed. I have a feeling that ski spam will certainly be explored by some players, and I've yet to see what that will result in. Players will definitely explore that. Anyway, let's get back to testing, and I do have a bot that I can test for that, so let's try test mode. I'm curious to see how this impacts overall performance for skis. Okay. This is one of the reasons why I don't mind. Fine. Yep. Haven't got time to mess around. Okay, so I'm definitely feeling the speed boost. Come on, you can do this. Right. Overall, I see nothing objectionable with this. Keeping in mind, though, I only have 6 skis on this thing, so that's an approximate 12 or so % increase. Also, this is a hybrid. That still illustrates. Anyway, I can see nothing wrong with the change overall, as far as skis are concerned. Skis should still be fast. If anything, they'll gain a little bit more speed as compared to other builds. Again, with regards to skis, I can't complain, because they are skis, their mobility has been hindered for a long time now. That's simply fine. It's fine. No complaints there. So, while we roll back, we'll just check. So that's a change from 1.26 to 3, so it's actually per ski, so 1.75. Since we're doing that, may as well not round down, so it's 0.74 times 6 plus 6, because I forgot the 1. That's 10.44%. So from a speed of 400 would be reduced to 380, but the 380 is being increased by 10%, so it's a net gain for skis, and I have no issue with that. So that's good. That finally some good news. Okay, and of course, Flaks don't feel as bad as they did before. Their base bots aside. Hovers. Hovers have taken a angular velocity increase. Which to me seems like it should result in greater instability, but let's try this out. They should also be a little slower due to the decrease in base speed. Okay, so it does feel a little bit more sluggish. That's understandable as a flip. Still pretty okay. Their agility values have been screwed with by the imbalance server, so that's a good thing. I mean, they have been screwed with, but not in a bad way. This, I think this reverted the changes from earlier, so if I'm not mistaken, this is actually a minor buff for Teslas. Yes, this is absolutely a minor buff for Teslas. For actual pure hovers, not so much, but of course, the reasoning of the so-called balance Discord is, why aren't you adding rudders to it? Which, that's besides the point. You're a freaking Discord server that's dedicated to balancing parts. If you can't balance original base parts for pure use, then your use is in question. Now, I seem to recall Cyril making a suggestion a while back before I got muted in the so-called balance server. and that was to increase the height at which hovers disengage. They ignored him then, they're ignoring him again this time. I do think that taking him up on his suggestion would result in improved mobility for hovers at height, or at a greater height, and would result in less cases of flipping, because the flipping is actually being caused by hovers disengaging and resulting in unequal motion, and therefore you get flipped as a result. So yeah, balance server, do your job. Now, this kind of change that he suggested would result in an overall increase in hover height. I think. I'm not so sure about that. I think there's a separate agility value that would impact the total maximum height for hovers. I'm pretty certain that's the case. But it might impact, for instance, the ability of copters or other flyers with hovers in them to escape the ground while trying to, fly off the ground, because hovers are still sucking them down, which is not how hovers work, but that's okay. We've gotten used to that. It's part of their core design. So anyway, that's hovers. Let's get back to other things that got affected. Rotors. Okay, so once upon a time, the Balance Discord increased the agility floor from 1500 to 2500. I had stated back then that it wasn't enough. Rotors were by no means overpowered. However, apparently the Balance Discord feels differently, because in this patch they decided to not only reduce it down to 1500 again, they decided to go beyond that to 1300. I might be misremembering the 1500 value, but it's along those lines. But effectively, as far as the agility cap is concerned, it's worse off than it was. However, it does seem that in regards to T2, T3 and T4 rotors, at the light end, the agility values have been increased, have been improved by a modest 20 to 30%. That is presuming, of course, that any bot can theoretically achieve the 1300 floor, which it can be done. Yes, it can be done, but not without significant sacrifices. And of course, the Balance Discord is going off saying, oh yeah, but technically you can do it, so therefore it should be done. If only they had used even that logic with regards to sprinter legs, maybe they wouldn't be absolutely ruined at this point in time. But rotors, let's talk about rotors. We're talking about rotors. Let's go to the rotor bots, which should be around here somewhere. So T2, T3, T4. Do I have any T2 bot? T2. No, I don't. Not readily available. That's not a rotor bot. Maybe some of my old builds. No, wait, I do have something. Okay, test. Almost 8,500 kilos, but it is T2 rotors. Let's see how much they've gimped. Okay, slower as expected. Very drifty. Very drifty. Let's test out stabilization. nerfed as expected. Turning is absolutely horrendous. But again, it's 8,500 kilos. Yeah, this bot did not need a nerf, but never mind. Balance is scored, etc, etc, etc. Moving on. Okay, that's one rotor bot. It's a heavier T2 rotor bot. I'm sure that lighter T2 bots will perform significantly better. Let's see what we got on the light end. This is the lightest one I have in tier 3. For rotors, of course. Test. I wasn't expecting reviewing this patch to drain me this much, but it clearly is. I'm not sure if it's my imagination, but this seems comparable. Not great. Not horrible. And that's how you test the agility of a bot. Of a rotor bot, I should say. Tilt it. See how it fares. Not too great, not too bad. Okay, this gets a pass on this particular bot. Okay, so not all bots are ruined as far as rotors are concerned. And that's specifically because they've increased the values at the light end. So if a bot is light, it's probably not ruined. If anything, it might actually perform better if it's at the very lightest end. Let's try something heavier. That'll have to do. Also T3. I think these are T3. They better be T3. Rotors. Yeah, these are T3 rotors. I mean, okay, it's playable. But it's not something I'd want to play. Not in this state. Yeah. That's twice the weight, basically. Okay, that's yeah. Again, I deliberately chose a heavier bot to try out the heavy end for copters. Tier 4, okay, let's try it. Let's see how the heaviest rotors fare. Not impressive, that's for sure. Okay, just barely missed it. Let's try again. Very mediocre. And these are the heaviest rotors. Come on, you can hit this target. Ah, whatever. I've seen enough. And what's the weight of this bot again? So, in any case, Rotor changes overall seem bad, however. So that was 13,000 kilos, almost 14,000 kilos, okay. Sure, on the heavier end. Again, we're talking about tier 4 rotors. If any rotors should be able to handle moderate weights, it should be them. Moving on. How heavy is this? 7,000 kilos, no point, so another sprinter. Back to the stats. Next up are you kidding me? All wings have taken a massive nerf in agility cap, or agility floor. Before I blow gaskets, some other things have changed. There's improvements to agility values, which should be interesting at light end. 1,100 kilos. This basically introduces a niche for light blocks, which have been buffed. Oh, and of course helium blocks. Can't forget Rex Hack Bros heliums. 1,100 kilos. So barrel speed, bank speed, elevation speed, rudder speed, thrust, and VTOL have all taken increases. I'm curious to see how these changes affect drones. If they've done the same to rudders, and I'm sure they have, this should be interesting for drones' bank speeds. Presuming that they haven't ruined the agility floor for them also, which they probably have, because it's them. And it doesn't make sense for rudders to have a higher agility floor than wings. Speed boost has been increased for wings. So, like other parts, wings have taken a reduction in base speed, but they've taken some compensation for their trouble. All with the exception of T2 wings. Why they've left T2 wings out, I have no idea. Why did they leave T2 wings out? I mean, no, literally, why did they leave T2 wings out? Does that mean they're still stuck at 0.5%? Is that really what they're doing? Okay, that pisses me off a little, but not so much. Perhaps I think I am tired, but moving on. Let's find ourselves wing planes. Starting from T2 bot. Let's see how things have been negatively impacted. Carry weight is still there. Okay. Movement is obviously slower because they haven't been compensated. T2 wings have not been compensated because this is certainly a bot that needed balancing against, of course. The one good thing about it, speed. Terrific. However, what about the handling? Seems okay. It does seem okay. Okay, so setting my biases aside, in terms of control, it's okay. Wings are performing okay, and even though they didn't get any kind of speed boost gain, which they absolutely should have, I really don't know why the balance server seems to hate low-tier bots. I mean, they're really... No, seriously. Why do you hate tier 2 bots? All bots require speed boost, or I should say all tiers require speed boost. So anyway, that's enough of that. Next up. Is there any reason to try this out? Not really, because T2 wings again. Weight was 7,700 kilos. This is lighter. Okay, let's try it out. Let's see if there's anything worth mentioning here. Congratulations, it's now feeling drifty. It didn't feel drifty before, but now it's feeling drifty. And the worst part is, I did actually already optimize this for a degree of speed, so not much I can do about that without rebuilding the entire build. So yeah. And it's not even an agility issue, because agility is okay, I guess. But again, it's missing the speed boost. Yeah, alright, I'm getting indigestion just thinking about it. Moving on, let's move on to the next build. So that's pretty much T2 wings covered. I need something with T3 wings. Do I have anything with T3 wings? I'm sure I do. Are these T2 wings? Yes, those are tier 2 wings, so you're not eligible. What are you packing? A couple of T3s in there. These are T4s. I guess I don't have a proper T3 wing bot. Let's give this a quick try. It's a hybrid, so we'll see. It's also slightly heavier. Goes down fast, obviously. Super drifty. That's one way to ruin a close quarters bot. Take some of its speed away. Then again, it has some toughness to deal with it. Some toughness. And a blink module, which by the way, since everything has become slower, the blink module has effectively become stronger. Next, let's try tier 4 wings. So this is wings and rudders. Same here. Okay, well, if I choose between these for a speed test, might as well go for the speed plane. Oh wow, they absolutely neutered speed overall. Now these are T4 wings. Okay, so a bit of disclosure. It is my opinion, it has long been my opinion, ever since 2018, that there comes a point where a bot that moves at a speed less than 400 kilometers per hour is basically significantly easier to shoot at. So that's something else to point out. All these changes are buffs for rails, for instance. Flak, yes. Interestingly enough, if you slow everything down, the changes you put through for Flak will start to make a bit more sense. Because things will be a little less difficult to shoot at, there's less unpredictable movement involved, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, not necessarily a horrible thing, but there's a certain feel to playing a bot that is traveling at 400 or higher that you just begin to miss when you start chipping away at speed. So that was that. That's ever so slightly lighter, but not worth trying out. That's a rudder plane. Moving on to the T5s. I'm testing speed, I should test out the speed bot. This time with T5s. Everything is feeling relatively drifty and I'm not entirely sure why. Okay, 400 achieved. Mostly. I mean, it doesn't feel horrible. It feels kind of comparable. Kind of. Almost. Somehow it still feels a little slower. Not sure why. Not sure why. Last plane to test. I think this is lighter, though perhaps less fast. It certainly feels lighter. It is slightly slower. Slightly. Huh. Okay. Handling actually feels better. Okay. I'm actually liking this change overall in terms of this particular build. And now I'm actually curious. There's one more build I should really try out, which is not in my collection. Back to 2019. So, hello. Long time no see. Pretty much okay. That's the lighters. Let's give it a quick try. Okay. Yep, definitely feeling it. So I am curious to see what a bot that does manage to achieve the weight constraints of wings will fly like. I am really curious now. Of course, it's an old build, has certain constraints, but oh yeah, this was created during the time when plasma felt good. Let's see what we have next. So that's pretty much all the plane builds. Yeah, pretty much all the plane builds. Moving on, rudders should be next, and rudders are what we come to. So, okay, so. Alright, so they've been reduced to the same agility floor as previously. Their overall stats have been improved on the light end, their speed boost for all rudders except for T2 again. Again, I don't understand why they decided to make an exception of T2 rudders, but I'm glad to see any kind of change to rudders in terms of speed boost. And it does seem that it has taken a much desperately needed greater increase in speed boost as compared to wings, although they're still lagging behind them by a very significant degree. Once again, they did used to have 20% more speed boost than their same tier wing counterparts, but to be fair, Rudders have seen such a lot of changes since then. It's almost as if they're trying to justify the changes that they make, even though nobody, absolutely nobody in the server actually requested it, just as pretty much nobody requested the super buff to heliums. It's almost as if the Discord server has a mind of its own, independent of the community that it purportedly represents. Rex. They've nerfed propellers. Propellers have also been nerfed by 20% in terms of speed boost value, and that, you know, that explains why a number of my builds are feeling more drifty. Because I do heavily invest in propellers, at least as well, not compared to pure prop planes, and I'm very sure that these changes were done with pure prop planes in mind, but I don't know, I'm not sure how to feel about them. Obviously, it's not great, but I mean, especially when you consider that all movement parts have taken a reduction in speed, that compounded by the propeller change, not too good, I must admit, not too good. I suppose it makes thrusters a little better by default, by virtue of them not being screwed over. Anyway, moving on. So that's the end of the changes, so let's go back to rudder planes, and got just the two to try out. One with T4 rudders. I'm almost afraid to try it out, although it is at 4,000, it's below 5,000 kilos, it's still way higher than 1,100, I can tell you that much. So this is a medium weight according to that forsaken Discord. Let's try it out. Okay, has some punch. It's not all bad news. Not all bad news. It is ever so slightly slower. The buff that the Rudders got in terms of speed boost is carrying the nerf that our parts have taken. Does it quite compensate? No, it doesn't. But at least it doesn't feel like garbage. So there's that. Next. Shade Runner. Even lighter, okay, that's something. Test. Which was the mode? Battle Arena? Sure, let's give it a proper test and finish this off with a bang. If the Pathrunner can handle it pretty well, then they should handle it pretty well also, and all movement parts have taken a hit in speed for the most part. Actually, all things considered, I think that wings, rudders, and skis are the only parts that haven't been screwed over in terms of speed. All other parts that were not compensated took a hit, and the main victims of these changes would absolutely be sprinter legs. Sprinter legs have been screwed over so hard, I can hardly believe it, even though is that Discord server at the helm. So anyway, there's that. This is going to be an interesting match overall. Got Flak on the opposite team as AI. I went mid accidentally. Fine. I can do mid. That's interesting. Also lucky. Okay, let's try out. Okay, never mind. Not in great shape. Not in hard shape either. That works. It is? Nah. Okay, fine. AI. I'm liking the agility so far. I'm not sure if it's my imagination, but actually feels more agile than before. Overall, in spite of the nerf to propellers and wings. Middle point is under attack. Wasn't in condition to contest. Okay, that works for me. Still got guns. Definitely feeling the agility changes. That's an AI, can't deal with that. I always appreciate a capper on the point. Okay. No reason. Oh, my mistake. Mid. That's going to be a problem. Oh, no, no, no. No, no, no. Damn it. Okay. And that didn't work out. Alright. Still, agility is not unplayable by any means. Rudders overall, aside from T2 rudders for obvious reasons. Camp mid. Why would I camp mid? That's more like it. I see you heading near. Sorry, element of surprise denied. Let's just finish this. Welcome to the Spiral of Death. That's unfortunate. Uh-oh. Got greedy. Let's regroup. Let's reattempt. Yeah, you're a problem. Let's deal with you. You also have some punch. Okay, fine. Okay. That looks cool. That did look cool too. Fine. It's nice to finish that on a non-horrible note. Okay. I have rested, I have reflected, and I have collected my thoughts. Let's go over all the updates in turn before concluding. Starting from Flak's. Without dwelling on the unrelated negative experiences that I had testing the weapon, the changes are good. I'm surprised that they are as good as they are, but there's no denying that Flaks are now effective against flyers, and especially for T5s, are also capable of self-defense versus ground, which is terrific. I still have misgivings about the tighter detonation range of the weapon, but the main thing is that Flaks are no longer bad weapons. So in this regard, well done to the Balance Discord on defying my expectations. Moving on to movement parts, and with the speed boot adjustments in mind, the reductions in speed has been conducted with a tone-deaf clumsiness that is more representative of what I have come to expect of the so-called Balance Discord. All movement parts, regardless of speed or whether they are air or ground parts, have taken a 20 km/h reduction. On screen, on the right hand side, you'll see the percentage change of all parts, and this should make the problem easier to see. While tank tracks took more than an 11% speed nerf, wings took less than a 9% in nerf. At the same time, a number of things have remained unchanged that compound the disadvantages that slower ground bots have had to suffer. I'm thinking of EMPs, deployment time being effectively more ludicrous than before, even though it's the same. I'm thinking of Blink's range being more significant compared to the normal movements. I'm thinking of bots' ability to avoid the lock-on of missile launchers. I'm thinking of how much easier it will be, for various weapons to land their shots on things that are even slower than their already slow speeds were before. In any situation where the strong and the weak are both given a fixed nerf, it shouldn't require much brain power to understand that the change in fact increases the power divide between the strong and the weak. The change is harmful to overall viable build diversity, and this is arguably the Balance Patch server's biggest overall transgression committed against the game this time round. At the beginning of this video, I was unlucky enough to choose a particularly patch-butchered bot, and that set the tone for the rest of the patch assessment for as far as I was concerned. The wheel changes I am of two minds about. Camera control wheels continue to remain playable, but this is the second handling nerf that they have taken in sacrifice to keyboard control vehicles. Keyboard control wheel bots definitely feel better to use, so maybe this change was justified. Before coming to the crap show that is sprinters, I feel it appropriate to talk about skis. The speed boost changes are powerful and they will be exploited. However, I am doubtful that they will pose a significant issue, even if most other builds have taken a compounding speed nerf. Ski spam will be tried, and we'll see what happens. The thing here is, we're talking about skis. Skis have always had issues, we'll see what happens. And then we come to sprinters and rotors. These two parts have been done dirty. Sprinter legs were already significantly nerfed in the previous patch, and this patch puts a broad section of sprinter bots deep into the endangered territory, with some, such as the aforementioned bot, effectively being murdered by it. Sprinter bot build diversity suffers greatly, and the so-called balance server is very unlikely to take accountability for the detriment that they have definitely caused. If it was their intention to force a use case for light blocks, then they have done the equivalent of forcing a wide use case for air cylinders by polluting the air that we breathe to the point of unbreathability. Well freaking done! You can now push your light blocks for sprinter legs by making them the only viable option for sprinters. Who cares about build diversity anyway? Certainly not the balance server. And what of rotors? In a previous patch they were finally given a gasp of air, only to have it stolen from them in this patch, again with light blocks pushed to them as justification and alternative. For them to actually be, viable in any shape or form. That's great build diversity. However, I am allowing my anger to get the better of me again, so let me calm down for a moment. Let us just say that these changes managed to significantly outweigh the good that they managed to do for Flaks as weapons. Moving on. Wings and rudders. In a way, the same criticisms directed at the sprinter and rotor changes also apply to aerofoils. Now, with regard to planes, I did think that scaling back on carry capacity was the way to go. Such directly impacts how much a couple of aerofoils can carry and is multiplied per part, unlike, agility, which is a fixed value which applies to the bot as a whole, regardless of how many units of a part are included. At the same time, there is a wing carry bug, where things that get critted but not directly destroyed retain some of their properties, including their weight and health. This is why, for example, you might have noticed at the very beginning, at the very onset of auto heal, you can find that an entire chain gun or similar macro part would grow back way before they would normally do. While at other times you might notice that lag time as they get regenerated normally before reappearing. While I object to the changes to aerofoils, I do notice that middleweight flyers suffer less than non-light rotors and sprinters did in this patch. And this comes down to how the Balance Discord buffed the light agility values to a sufficient degree, such as to effectively mitigate the fail that would otherwise have ensued. The aerofoil changes are interesting, and I'll say that. I'll give him that. The changes are interesting. With regard wings, they probably shouldn't have been compensated with speed boost, and some may actually find this to be a rather surprising point, but this comes back to what I said before about the strong being left stronger and the weaker being left weaker as a result of a fixed reduction in base speed. However, with regards to Rudders, considering that their speed boost was previously butchered as of last January, they absolutely deserved every scrap of speed boost that they got. Sadly, T2 Rudders and, in the context, wings also, were left out of the speed boost changes, and this does not appear to have any logical basis. They may primarily be used for stabilization purposes, for stabilizing bots and other applications where speed boost is not the main focus of their inclusion, but that is besides the point. T2's exclusion betrays a small-mindedness on the part of the Balance Discord. Last but not least, one comes to propellers. This speed boost reduction was by far unnecessary, and it illustrates a lack of self-awareness on the part of the so-called Balance Discord. If you are going to try and nerf prop spam planes, for instance, which by the way were primarily made a problem thanks to the same Balance Discord's mega buff of lock-on missile launchers, which quite frankly wasn't needed for the most part. Actually, I would say literally wasn't needed. It was the wrong kind of buff it needed. It was the wrong buff. It was the wrong buff, full stop. I won't get into that again. Where was I? Well, if you're trying to nerf those kinds of planes, and you're aware that you're nerfing the base speed of the movement, then maybe reining in Lommels would have been a wiser choice than nerfing a core speed boost part that requires spamming to be annoying. That sums up my thoughts on the balance changes. And that took less time than I thought it would. Anyway. Let me be crystal clear and state it in no uncertain terms as concerns what the biggest threat that Robocraft 1 faces is, in my opinion. It is not Robocraft 2. Robocraft 2 is a good thing for Robocraft 1, and it is certainly possible for Robocraft 1 to be good for Robocraft 2, provided that Robocraft 1 is a healthy game. Neither is the threat a questionable host with flammability issues. Those days are hopefully in the past. Neither is it the age of the game. Robocraft 1 stands the test of time, even today, in spite of all the adversities it has faced. And, surprisingly, it is not matchmaking exploiters or even cheaters. No, the biggest threat to Robocraft 1, as of today, is for a situation to persist where those entrusted with balancing the game continue to do so without a care for build diversity and without a cohesive vision as to the role that each part plays in the overall experience and balance, as well as the bigger picture. At the moment, the future of Robocraft 1 is in part entrusted to the so-called Balance Patches server, and that server is controlled, stifled, and undermined primarily by Rex Hackbro. It would benefit the future of the game if this individual's hands were pried off of the game's throat. It hardly needs to be said at this point that I do have a very salty beef to pick with that individual, and not specifically due to the muting I have been dealt on that server, more so due to the blinding that comes with it, a tool befitting of the corrupt, and adequate reason for me to hold him accountable for every success and fail under his watch. Patch after patch, I see more and more reasons to detest what he is doing to the game, and wins like the Flak fix do not do enough to make up for the crap that comes packaged with them. It is frankly painful to watch, and that is what motivated me to sacrifice sleep this time around, to give this balance patch update the scathing review that it richly deserves, and as early as possible so as not to coincide and fully sully the festive period. The charge of my negative bias in regards to that Discord's operation, and by extension him, should be clear. But in case it hasn't been picked up on, yes, I am biased and have little to no confidence in the balance patches server proving that it can be a net benefit to Robocraft. If they manage to pull off a Flak fix with regards to the Robocraft in general, then I will change my opinion, as I am biased, not blind. But in the meantime, I regard the Discord to be bad for the future of the game, and each single patch just proves again and again that this is so. If they manage to pull off a Flak fix, for those whom did manage to stomach the contents of this video, I am firstly thankful that you've stuck around. I am interested in hearing your views. Such could be about the changes themselves, whether positive or negative. Such could be about other things that I have mentioned or talked about. Such could be about the state of the game in general, your hopes, your fears, anything in between. My beef with this individual or the server mentioned. Whatever you would like to mention, I will meet you down in the comments below. And of course, thank you for watching.